So there was this guy, and he had a big presentation to make, and he was nervous. But he was also an experienced presenter. He'd been out there, doing this for a while, and he said, "I'm smart, I know my stuff, I can wing it." But then he's still worried. So he waited, and he worried, and he worried, and he waited. And finally, the night before the presentation was due, he called me up and he said, at 3 o'clock in the morning, because he couldn't sleep, why should I, right? He called me up and he said, "I can't do this alone, I need your help." So we met the next day, and since the presentation was that night, I just gave him 3 things to do. 2 of them had to do with the way he was delivering the material, and 1 was a physical gesture he was doing that was sabotaging him. He didn't realize it. And that night, I got to watch him walk out in front of a packed house and nail it. He was great. And he was so wonderful. And the expression on his face as he stood there and took in the standing ovation made me smile so hard my cheeks hurt. This is why I do what I do. That guy was Luciano Pavarotti, singing the role of Radames in Aida at the Met. And I couldn't get a picture of, there weren't any decent pictures of him doing Aida, so I actually worked with that guy too. And I was supposed to work with that guy, but he went into the hospital with leukemia. So 2 out of the 3 tenors. As you heard, I'm Elizabeth Bachman. I was many years an international opera director, and now I am a presentation skills trainer, and I mostly work with very, very smart people who know a whole lot about something complicated and tell you way more about it than you really want to know. Does anybody know any of those? Yeah. And I'm so glad. We're all Wonder Woman. Thank you all. I'm so happy to be here, and a Wonder Gentleman on the camera. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you're here and for taking the time to come to be part of this and to coming to my speech, because the other 2 were also really interesting. So it's all being recorded. It's all going to be found later. And really what I want to know is first of all, who's in the room? If you do speeches to promote your business or a business, would you raise your hand? Anybody? Okay, that's about a quarter of you. If you do a presentation within a company, does anybody here do that? Almost everybody. Who presents to inspire a team? Okay, who presents to upper management on behalf of a team? Okay, is there anybody here who's not presenting now but thinking about it? Okay, good. Yes, we talked about that earlier. And if you would rather be tied up and dragged naked through the streets than get up and address a group of people, raise your hand. Okay. So for those of you who raised your hands, and for those of you who really would like to be tied up and dragged naked through the streets and you're too chicken to say so, I do live in San Francisco. I've got some neighbors who can organize that for you, so just let me know. I'd like to know, since I didn't know who was really going to be here, and there's a large range of experience and needs, this is all about finding your voice, expressing yourself, and really the part that I mostly deal with are high-stakes presentations, but it's always a high-stakes presentation. So I'd like to know what your needs are, and is there anybody who'd be willing to be a scribe for us today? Oh, Catherine, great, thank you. Because just use that till it works out. We have a whole wall. Yes. So let's shout out. What do you want? We've got just about an hour. So what do you want to get out of today? What are your challenges?
Organizing thoughts.
Organizing thoughts. Okay.
Captivating the audience.
Okay. Audience engagement. Yes. We might need 2 scribes. Here. Thanks. Okay. So Catherine's doing organizing thoughts, and will you do engaging the audience? Okay, and yes.
This is related, I said, making an emotional connection.
Okay, emotional connection.
Greater animation.
So Catherine, if you do every other one,
Okay.
and we'll just, because since people are talking faster than you can write, we'll do this. Well, it gives us enough to start with, I think. Okay, so stay there, Nora, if you would. Let's just, so we've got sort of three things. If you look at your handout, actually, Nora, if you sit down, I think Catherine can do this. If you look at your handout, you'll see that there are three problems. So, because it all falls into more or less the same three categories. Catherine, don't go away.
I'm just saying, I'm trying
Yes,
to
no, what I'm going to have you do, that's okay, she'll work around us. So she's a photographer, that's her job. Okay, so topic A will be engagement. So engagement, we just put an A and selling an idea is also A, and call to action is A and B. We'll get there. Organizing thoughts is so body language is C. Authentic is A and B. Bear with me. And so speaking from so over on animation, yeah, that's C. Organizing thoughts is A. Remembering script, A and B. That's sort of a subset. We'll get to that. Authority would be A. Memorable is B. Delivery is C. And confidence is all the above. So we will get to that. I just want to make sure that I had addressed what you're looking for. Would it be okay if I told you why this matters? Thank you. Can I tell you a little bit about how I got here? Yes. You heard some of my story. To tell you the truth, I've been dedicated to the art of great communication since I was first walked on stage at the age of 5. And my mom said I was the best damn bunny rabbit that ever graced the stage of the hillside school, and I was hooked. So I went from acting to directing opera singers, and now to directing and training presenters. But it's all about communication. And along the way, I've been an employee, I've been an independent contractor, I have led teams, I've been part of teams. Right now, I have a fabulous life because I divide my time between San Francisco and the Austrian Alps. This is actually just down the bank of the road from our house. And I've spent 27 years with the love of my life. And best of all, I get paid to help people step into their power and really communicate, make a difference, and close a sale here and there. Would that be okay? Is there anybody here who's, if you define sales as selling an idea, and to tell you the truth, actually for definition, sales equals enrollment in my book. So if you think enrolling people, is there anybody here who does not ever enroll someone into getting to doing what you want them to do? Thank you, you're all good. You never enroll anybody? Do you have kids?
Yeah.
Do you ever have to enroll them into doing what you want them to do?
All the time.
All the time, okay. So it's all the same. And, but along the way, I hit a lot of glass ceilings. In the 1980s, I was one of the first wave of women directing opera. And I wasn't the absolute first groundbreaker. There were people who broke through that before I did, 4 or 5 of them. By the time I came along, there were a few of us, but the big money still always went to the men. Has anybody seen something like that? Do we think it's changed? It's beginning to change a little bit. This is why I'm so passionate about Watermark, is the big money really went to the men. But I found over the years that in terms of leading teams or or justifying what I wanted the team to do to upper management, usually the general director. As the director, you are hired by the board or the general director. And then I ran a company of my own. And I started a summer opera company in the Alps, and I had to raise money. And for the first time, I actually had to do speeches that produced cash because we didn't qualify for any grants. And so I had to raise $100,000 to produce this nonprofit. And to do that, I had to give speeches. And frankly, the first few ones I gave were pretty bad. I was pretty terrible. And what saved me was finding a mentor, someone who'd been down the road before me, who told me that I wasn't wrong, I wasn't stupid, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And that there were actually hundreds and hundreds of tools and techniques in the art of public speaking to get a result. And so I raised that $100,000 and ran the program for 11 years, and now I'm using that experience to help other speakers. And I'll tell you, the best part about my life is when I see someone that I've worked with walk out in front of a group and just say what they want to say, to be a channel for their message. This is what I really love. For people who talk, who have a big idea, people who are, whether it's on a TED stage or whether it's at a conference or it's promoting a business, to be on stage and master the tools and the techniques. You're not thinking about your hands. You're not thinking about what words, you don't have to remember your speech because you've done that. You've done the work, you've practiced basically, because nobody plays Hamlet first time they pick up the script. It's an art that takes practice. But then as you do it, you own it, you master it. And when I see one of my clients walk out and oh yeah, I'm giving a speech today, no big deal. Yes, I'm gonna come home with some clients, or I'm gonna get that contract, and no problem. They don't even think twice about it. That's what I love, is the applause. And watching my people get the applause and knowing that we've put in the work beforehand. So that's why I'm here. And that's really what gets me going. So my intention is to give you 3 keys so that you can speak to get results. And this is really what I'm here for. And we will be addressing all 3 of these. So if you'll look at your little handout, here's a tip. Raise your hand if you're somebody who likes lists. Oh my goodness, this is a room full of list people. Is there anybody here who actually thinks better by drawing things out or drawing maps? Yeah, I have a whole room full of list people. My people! Usually I'm one of the few people who likes lists. I love it. The reason I gave you a handout that looks like this is so that you can make lists, and there's space on the back for you to take notes. And you can also draw, if you want to draw, use the diagram to draw. So the first thing is put yourself in the middle, because you are the heart. There was a question on how to be authentic. It's about connecting to what is it that what are you going to say that's important to you. So who was it who asked about being authentic? Somebody, how to be authentic? Oh, come on, fess up. Okay, well, or was that you?
No, it was someone, I think.
That's okay. All right, so how to be authentic is, really there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, yes, there's new technology, but how you talk about it is we're still using the same languages, multiple languages. There are different words and the different terms, but nothing's all that new. What you have to do is say, why does it matter to you and what makes it important to you? And what do you bring to it? So you are in the middle of that. There are 3 things you need. You need to have a strategy, and you need to have a script. What are the words you're going to use? That matters. And then there's your delivery style. So this is how you look And how you present yourself is actually 93% of what people perceive about you. Only 7% comes about the world's. So that's where we were talking about A, B, and C. You have the strategy, the script, and the style. The problem is, the challenge is that it goes down, it all sort of fits into those three categories. So the first challenge is, why should I care? This is strategy. Has anybody sat, have you ever sat in a meeting and thought, why does this matter? Why do I care? Anybody done that? Yeah. Has anybody given a talk and see their listeners spacing out, tuning out, checking their texts, checking their Facebook? The key is to match your message to the room. Now, those of you who are speaking to, if you're speaking for sales, if you're speaking to people you don't know, you kind of have to cover all the bases. And but for that, it's a matter of choosing who you're speaking to and where you speak, so that you're really, they're going to be receptive. You want to choose where you're going to speak. If you're speaking within a company, you have the huge advantage of knowing who you're speaking to. If you're doing sales, if it's outside sales, you've got to qualify a prospect, right? Anybody here do outside sales, selling outside the company? Yes, Amy does. You've got to qualify the prospect, right? We were talking at lunch about how to make sure it makes sense. If you're going to talk about your message to people who don't care, it doesn't, they're going to space out, I'm happily married, so I don't go to listen to people who talk about relationships, really, because we may not be perfect, but we have a system that works. So this is your strategy. Match your message to the room. So I'm going to ask you just for a minute to think about a presentation you might make and think about what is it that they are going to want. Why should they care? So we'll just take a minute and write down, why would they care? Pick a presentation you're going to have to make or you have made, and just jot down for yourself, who are you speaking to and why do they care? Why should they care? Just think about that. And we'll have a minute here. Yeah, I think so. Does anybody need more time? I think we only needed about 30 seconds. Okay, who'd like to share? Somebody, stand up and tell us about a presentation and why they should care. Please, Aliana, stand up. Yeah.
My name is Atiana. I'm part of the customer success team at Council. And I recently did a presentation to the field sales team during their onboarding process. So it was a group of 4 individuals that were coming to our company. And of course, the reason why they should care is because the information that I was able to give to them is going to help them be able to sell. So I was able to give them perspective of things like Salesforce, tips and things of that nature. So yeah.
Okay, and did they like it?
Yes, they did. I got excellent feedback. It was my first time actually doing a presentation of this manner. I got excellent feedback, and they've been, I've been working with them ever since then, and they've been, I can tell that they were receptive to the information that I gave. So.
Great, thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Yes. Somebody else? Pia.
So my name is Pia Darling, and after 20 years in technology, I'm doing my own business, coaching women in how to be more of themselves. So when I coach corporate women, I want to help you integrate more of you in your everyday life, since work is taking so much more than just 8 hours nowadays. How to take your outside personality and way of being, integrate it with your business personality, and just be a fuller, more holistic woman, full and happier.
And why does that matter?
Because you bring more of yourself. You can contribute so much more due to having more resource to all the range of your emotion, all the range of your knowledge.
And how will they feel after working with you as opposed to before?
Oh, just so much happier, so much more grounded, present, because it'll be like you're here and then serving your audience, your team. Whereas if you're trying to do this and trying to do that, you're off your center and kind of unbalanced.
Would anybody like that? More of that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Pia, go find her afterwards. Okay, so the next thing, and so we were talking about organizing your thoughts. That's also, when you organize your thoughts, think about how you're going to talk about this, and start with a call to action. So Atlana has here, Atiana. I can't get close, it kind of looks like an L there. Atiana has, she was doing onboarding, and what kind of call to action did you have?
I guess my call to action was kind of getting them to get their first account.
To get their first account.
Correct, yes, or a
Okay.
new account.
So
we're in the women's health.
yeah, so that also connects with challenge number 2, which is to script too much how, not enough why. Now, we all do this. This is the classic sell the benefits, not the features. I sure hope you were selling the benefits, Tatiana. Actually, this is why I asked Pia about how people would feel. Sell the sizzle, not the steak. It's actually, it's your so that. So I'm going to ask you now to pick up your piece of chocolate. Everybody should have had a piece of chocolate. We have extra chocolate, please. So Elizabeth, if you'll pass out more chocolate. We have extra chocolate. I brought a lot. So.
Don't eat.
Did you see it said, don't eat the chocolate yet?
It's trying to find a place for me.
Okay, does anybody else need chocolate? Yes. You can get a different one. You can have extras. I got chocolate for about 200 people, so, I have a lot left over.
Should have given that instruction.
Yes.
Who's not going to eat the piece of chocolate?
Well, it did say at the beginning, you would see who was reading the file. It said, don't eat chocolate, and she needs, yeah. Okay, now choose a partner, please. Choose a partner. Choose a partner. No, you want 2 partners.
I need a partner.
Okay, there we go. I knew there was somebody. So you could. So you might have to. Okay, shh. You might have to stand up to talk to your partner, but this will take a minute. So stand up and move if you need to move to make your partners. Yeah, if you need to move. Now, ladies, I'm going to start off. When I raise my hand, and I say, if you can hear me say, shh. That means, I know in a room full of women, it's sometimes hard to get people to stop. I used to bring my Austrian cowbell, and I forgot it today. So, does everybody have a partner? Does anybody not have a partner? Anybody not have a partner? Do you have a partner down here? Down there? Like there's somebody needs a partner?
I need one. Right here.
There.
We're good.
Okay. So the person with the shortest hair will start. Okay. And what I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you 1 minute. I want you to sell that piece of chocolate to your partner. Okay. And go.
Not only are you going to get the chocolate,
that supposed to be? I gave a small one. It's supposed to keep going.
There you got a little bit longer.
I cannot exhale. Oh my god.
Okay, and so I kind of gave it away beforehand, but did anybody, those of you who were being sold to, did they tell you why? Or did they just tell you what it was about?
Well, we don't have to tell them what we all know.
What do you mean? Can you say why?
We all
Say more
know.
about what you mean by why.
So the question is, did who here was told how fabulous this piece of chocolate was? Okay, who here was told how they would feel once they bought it? And what the emotional benefit was?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, trade partners, and the person who listened last time, now I would like you to sell this piece of chocolate to your partner, focusing on the emotional benefit. Why should they care? This is like A and B works together. Why should they care? Your call to action is you want them to buy this piece of chocolate from you. I don't care what the price is. You can put money in there if you want, but you want them to buy this chocolate. And chocoholics here, just make them work for it, okay? So don't make it too easy. Okay, we have lots more chocolate, and go.
About it. The chocolates have chemicals. They're really good for your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and at least chocolate a day can make you a healthier person. So that's kind of a benefit for you.
I'm just listening.
You should try.
I'm just listening.
So when you buy, you want to be
And okay, go ahead and eat the chocolate. Go. And you can sit down again, please.
Unless you're vegan, then
Yeah, that's right. Okay. We have lots more, so if anyone has a flavor they don't want, just raise your hand, and we've got people out there with more chocolate. Okay. How did that feel second time around? Much better. So this is part of the why should they care. Matching your message to the room is paying attention to who the people are. But also it has to do with when you're doing then your call to action and your script, when your words start with what it is you want them to do and then work backwards. So yes, question.
So you said figure out the why, right?
Yeah.
And kind of like you did early before we even started, you figured out what we were trying to achieve or what we were trying to get. How do you get people's why? I mean, some people in here may just not like chocolate. I could have been talking to a person who hates sweet things, right? So how do you get their why, target it, figure out what their objections are and kind of buying it? Or in you know what I mean?
A very good question. What's your name? Tari, thank you. Tari, the very good question. If you're in a one-on-one sales situation, then you're going to ask questions and find out if they even liked it. Actually, did anybody ask their partner if they liked chocolate? Yeah. Yes. Wait. Shh. Wait. What?
What if somebody sees the product? In this case, it was chocolate, and she was like, "I don't eat it. Don't try to sell it to me." What do you
Then-
do in those situations?
Then what you do is say, thank you very much. Who do you know who does? So Who do you know who would like, why don't you buy this as a gift? Who could you refer me to? So in business, this would be, if you're talking to somebody and they're, if you're a relationship coach, or you're selling wedding services and you're trying to sell to me, I'm happily married, thank God. And, and so then you say, well, who do you know? Who could you refer me to? Right? This is another, don't forget to ask for referrals. This is also great if you're networking. If you're out there networking, and that's if we have, we may not have time to do that. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. Other thoughts about this? What did that feel like, this exercise?
It's fun.
Yes.
I was told that the chocolate would essentially give me joy.
Okay, let's just stand so everyone can hear you.
Sorry. I was told essentially that the chocolate would give me joy and happiness, which in that case, as the buyer, I kind of thought, well, why would I not want to buy this chocolate, even if I didn't want a piece of chocolate right now? But it's like, who doesn't want joy and happiness? And so it was the way that it was presented.
Yeah. So, all those car commercials? Are they ever talking about the engine? No, unless it's in Car and Truck magazine, right? They're talking about, oh, what a feeling, Toyota. I just dated myself, but that, you young folks, that used to be a Toyota thing. So, you're selling the feeling. So how could this apply to inspiring your team? Anybody, what would this be like? How could you use this principle to inspire a team? Catherine, please.
By getting to their why, it's maybe their purpose for being at this company, their purpose, why they come to work each day, why they do what they do, might help them get to that.
Yep. And sometimes if you had to, I had a client who came to me because he said, I know I give really terrible meetings. I lead really terrible meetings. And he had a really tough team. It was a software, he works for one of the Google Alphabet companies, and he had a bunch of software divas. They were all coding divas, and they didn't really want to fix anything. And so sometimes the why can be because if you don't fix it now, it's going to come around in 6 months and we're going to have to fix it again, and we are going to have to fix it again. Sometimes the why can even just be because upper management requires it and we cannot get paid until we get, but hopefully you don't have to go there. So hopefully you could do that. I have another client who used this why on two different people who she needed to make them work together, and they refused to talk to each other. So she went from one to the other, and she figured out what the why was, and she figured out a third solution that would work. And the other two each thought they had won. Now, that's also, actually, my thought is if that's what it takes to get peace and harmony and have the project move on, please. That was the solution that she came up with. I have another client who had to convince her boss, her CEO, that she needed more capacity, and she needed extra. They needed to basically rent a new office and hire a couple new people and so she explained the various things, but she knew that what he cared about was the bottom line. So she gave him statistics. And then she knew that he was saying, and she said, well, then he's going to say, I have to convince the board about this. So we came up with all sorts of ways that she could explain it to him. But she said, don't use it on him. Say, well, here's a way you could maybe explain it to the board. So she gave him all these tools, and he took them on as ways he could use to persuade the board so that he would sound fabulous. And she was able to hire the executive assistant. She's a senior partner in a law firm. So she was doing way too much day-to-day stuff, and leaves her free to go out and do the looking for a new customer and doing the things that she should be doing as senior partner running the Silicon Valley office. So, so as you're writing your script, there was a question about remembering your script. Who was it who was asking about that? Yes, remembering your script. Write notes. Or use a PowerPoint, something like that. So plan it out in advance. Here's another thing. Is there anybody who doesn't like being constrained, boxed in to a script. Anyone doesn't like being boxed in like that? If you think of your speech like jazz, so if you've got, say you've got someone to watch over me, and you're going to sing that, and you're going to do that, and tonight you've got a room, and you've got 2 saxophones and a guitar and a piano and a bass, and then tomorrow night you're doing the same piece in a different club. And this time you've got jazz violin, and you've got a flute and piano, whatever. It'll be the same tune, same beginning, same ending, but the variations will be different. So if you think of your speech like jazz, have an outline, know basically what you want to say, and then you're free to improvise. Have it be with the group. The shorter, the least amount of time you have, the shorter the speech, the less you can do that. So we have the luxury today, I've got the time to talk to you all and go off on a tangent. But if you think about that, yes?
In the last few years, I've taken an approach, no matter what the topic is that I'm
Here, stand up so we can all hear you.
is to put it in the form of a story.
Yes.
A story that makes sense to me, so that way little notes and keywords help me move along in my story, and then I think it becomes more interesting, and it helps with my enthusiasm and my presentation because I get more into it. So
Great. If you're going to do a specific speech, you're going to have the same elements over and over again. And anybody who wants to talk about this in more detail, I'm being aware of time here, come talk to me because there's a lot of detail around this. Yes, I know. There's a lot of detail around this. Think about your main points, tell your stories, absolutely. And then as you're doing that, remember that all your stories are going to point towards the action you want them to take. So, I was just going to say is, be sure you have a good, if you're doing a speech to people who don't know you, don't have to do this in a meeting usually, but doing a speech, make sure that you have memorized your opening. So you do something that's going to hook their interest. Hopefully my story about that guy that waited and worried hooked your interest. And then make sure that you've got a defined ending. Just as in a jazz, if you're going to do a tune, you've always got the same opening, you've always got the same ending. Just practically, the opening is when you're going to be the most nervous, and the ending is when, especially if you're going to ask for call to action, or if it's a sales call, you're going to memorize. That's when you're going to be the most nervous. So just memorize those two. Now the third challenge is your delivery style. Has anybody here ever seen a bland speaker? Anybody ever seen a pushy speaker? Anybody ever been that bland or pushy speaker? Yeah, some of us have, yes. As I said earlier, the way you present is 93% of what you're perceived. Only 7% comes from your words. So the way I like to think of it is making it about them and inviting them to be in your space. So who was it who raised her hand that she'd rather not get up in front of a group? I'm going to ask you to get up in front of a group. Would we have a volunteer, somebody who'd be willing to be brave? Okay, come on up, please. All right. You're all going to have to do this, actually. So we'll just do a quick, but you be our demonstrator. Thank you. Let's give her a hand. Anne or Anna? Anne. Okay. Thank you. So Anne, do you cook?
yes.
Yes. So imagine when you're doing a presentation, what do you have to do a presentation about?
Usually financial information to partners or
Okay.
executive committees.
So what do you want them to do?
I want them to understand what I'm talking about. I want them to be comfortable with the information I'm giving them.
And do, what's the action?
Generally, it's more about informing, so there's not a lot of action. You know what, there probably is.
So when they have that information, what happens?
They're comfortable with what I'm doing. They sometimes
So approving of what you've done?
Right, financial information.
Okay, so come here to the middle. Okay, imagine that you've got this hostile group. Look hostile, please. Big. That's very hostile. If you're nervous about it, what are the voices in your head singing? What are they saying?
Generally, they may not feel comfortable with what I'm providing. I'm presenting to CPAs too. So
Yeah.
I'm an accountant presenting to CPAs. So they're always a little bit smarter than me. So I want them to feel comfortable with me.
So they might think I'm stupid. They might think I don't know what I'm talking about. Things like that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what my voice is
She's
saying.
not on it.
Yeah.
She needs to be on it.
I don't know about you. I don't have a voice. I have a whole choir. And when the whole choir is singing, you've got them all. It's really hard to focus on what you're trying to do. And really, it's all about them. Because if you've got the voices in your head are going so hard, you are by definition not communicating because you're stuck in your head. So make it about them. So imagine that information you're giving them, that they are going to love it because you've done great information. They're going to approve of you. Imagine that these hostile people here, look hostile. Yeah. Be scary. All right. These scary people are guests at your dinner party. And the report you're bringing is some fabulous dessert you've baked. So stand here and say, welcome to my party. So open up your arms and just say,
welcome to my party.
And really welcome them in. Open your arms and really send out your energy and welcome them in. Welcome to my...
I'm glad you're here.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm ecstatic that you're here.
Yeah. And imagine that you're giving them something of real value, right?
You guys are going to be so happy with the results.
You guys are going to be so happy. Doesn't that feel
incredible.
better? Don't you see the difference?
It is.
Yes.
It is.
So now try. Imagine we'll do this usually the very first one. Imagine you have a carpet, a rolled up carpet in your hand. And feel the weight of it. Mm-hmm. This is your carpet. Feel the backing, feel the texture. Look at it. Don't look at me, look at it. Yeah, right? Yeah. And now drop it on the floor. Thud. Hear the thud. Give it a little kick. And watch it unroll to fill this room. This is your carpet. This is your power, your party. So now
That's
as you
very
see,
empowering.
so you do that. And now take a step forward and plug into your power. Mm-hmm. And we are all on your carpet. Okay? So let's try this. Back up another so you can take a real step here. Okay? So you're going to drop your carpet. Drop the carpet, give it a kick.
Oh, I need to kick it too.
Yeah, you gotta roll it, yes. That's all right.
You have to roll it. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
And now step in, it's like plugging in to your power. And now say, welcome to my party.
Welcome to my party.
Really welcome them. You see that?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's actually good numbers. So the key is, make it about them and invite them in. If you're speaking in terms of sending out your aura, your energy, once people are on your carpet, they'll feel more comfortable and then they're more likely to do what you want to do. So I want to thank you all for being here. Was that useful? Yes. Does anyone have a question there that has not been answered yet? Come to me at the end of it. What I'm going to ask you to do is pick up your little colored picture, colored page. So the white one is for you to take home. This one, I'm going to ask you, we're going to do one more exercise once we're done, but I want to tell you about this. So this is a stay connected. So if anybody's, I do workshops like this and in much more depth when I'm working with a team. So I have a gift for you all. It's a little report that's 7 keys to strategic speaking, to speak with more impact. So if you'd like that, check that top one. If you know of a group, if there's a company, someone at your company would like a speech like this, particularly if I'm working with the team where they're all working on the same project, I can go into much more depth. So, or it can be a lunch and learn, all that sort of thing. If you know of a person who needs to be more interesting, who needs to get better results when they speak. Just give me a note, and I'll be discreet. They have to know they need it. I can't actually walk up to someone and say, that was a really terrible presentation, come hire me. But if you know somebody who wants to do that, and then if you would like to have more information, have a conversation with me, in addition to giving out chocolate, I would also give out a strategy session. So please fill this out. And we have the rest of the day. I'll be here for the rest of the day, so I'm going to pick it up before, in order for time. I'd like to have a chance to try one thing with all of you. So we can come back to this. First, would you all put everything down and stand up, please? Actually, stand up. See, can we make a circle? Is this possible?
Yes. Everything's possible.
Yes. Let's see if we can make a circle. Yes, okay. And we'll just stagger a little bit if we need to. Let's get around the edge of the room. Yes, okay. So now, everybody, hold your carpet. I didn't really have time to think about what color it is, but think about what color it is. Think about the smell of the carpet. Yeah. Okay, so as you're holding this, let's all together look up at this and we read this quote. Say it together. My playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around me. We are all meant to shine. So, thinking we are all meant to shine, drop your carpets, give them a kick in the space that you have. Yeah, you take your shoes off, it's better. And then step onto your carpet, step into your power, and say, we are all meant to shine. We're all meant to shine. And think this, stay this, let's hold it. Let's send this feel the energy circling around here. As we're thinking this, put your papers down. Come on, just use your, yes, feel your energy. And just think, to paraphrase Mark Twain, the difference between an ordinary speaker and a powerful, respected presenter is like the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. You are all amazing. Go out and be the lightning. Be the lightning. Thank you.